follow me in, okay? Nice job, recruits. I'm Captain Clarence Over from Echo Squadron, and I will be your instructor for today. And let's see who we've got here. A Roger Murdoch and a Victor Basta, correct?
Yes, Roger here, sir. Correct. Victor here too, Captain.
Gentlemen, today you're gonna properly learn how to land your X-Wing in an emergency situation.
I'm sorry, sir. Just so you know, sir, this is our first time flying. I'm not sure we're ready for—
What, recruit? Tower, this is Captain Clarence Over. Have these recruits really never flown before?
Copy that. This is their first time. Over.
Roger.
Huh?
Looks like I picked the wrong week to stop inhaling helium.
Squadron Alpha Niner, you're clear for landing whenever you're ready.
Roger.
Huh?
You've been assigned landing access code B27-6, Alpha Niner.
Roger.
Huh? Requesting Vector. Over.
What?
Squadron Alpha Niner, cleared for Vector 42.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Tower radio clearance. Over.
That's Clarence, over. Over.
Roger. Huh?
Roger. Over.
Huh?
What?
Who?
All right, recruits, to make this a lesson worth learning, we're gonna execute our emergency landing blindfolded.
What? Blindfolded, sir? Surely you can't be serious.
Damn it, recruits!
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Yo, yo, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Gurhm, and today we're taking a look at Star Wars Squadrons. It's a new Star Wars space combat sim developed by Motive Studios and published by EA. That's right, we have another EA Star Wars game, which initially had me really worried, but I think they may have just left their nasty, grimy, string-pulley fingers out of this one. I just finished the game clocking in 16 hours, and I'm continuing to play using a brand new HOTAS setup I bought for its multiplayer, so I'll be covering both the story and multiplayer modes using both mouse and keyboard and my new throttle and joystick setup. If you're new to the channel and like what you see so far, subscribe below and let's buckle up and get our Star Wars boost on. What up? Thanks for joining me. It's been over 20 years since we've gotten a true Star Wars dogfighting game, and despite my reservations with it being published by EA, I couldn't help but be excited for Squadrons. I can remember feverishly hogging my family's computer to play TIE Fighter back in '94, and then X-Wing Alliance in '99. Both are classic killer games that you can even get the special editions of on Steam right now, for either nostalgia's sake or just to check out the roots of where this genre came from. So, although we've waited way too long for a new Star Wars game that focused solely on space combat, I am stoked to report that Squadrons was well worth the wait. And like usual, we're kicking this off, starting with its gameplay. Squadrons is straight up a tried and true space combat game. It does this pretty brilliantly as well by offering players the opportunity to decide how deep they want to dive into the space sim experience. Personally, I've always loved these games and wanted as true of a Star Wars fighter pilot experience I could have, so I was really happy to find that the devs dug a pretty damn good sized rabbit hole for me to go down here. And let's start with the flying, because that is what you are doing in this game. And everything I'm about to explain pertaining to how the ships function and how you control them applies to both the single player campaign and the multiplayer as well. Now, I'm gonna keep this as clear and simple as possible too. There's a lot to cover, but it's absolutely worth explaining how you get to control your ship, because it will ultimately define what your experience will be like during dogfights. Every ship in the game has a power management system that the player can control with varying degrees of intricacy. All Rebel Alliance or New Republic ships have three main systems: engines, weapons, and shields. And all Imperial ships have the exact same thing, less the shield system, except for one model. Every ship's default power allocation for each system is called balanced, which evenly distributes power to each system. From here, you can manually divert power from one system to another, which will not only boost that system's base performance, but when in an overcharged state, it will produce some badass abilities that you can use in battle. For instance, adding power to engines will increase your top speed, and then in an overcharged state, engines will start filling up an additional boost meter that allows you to burst around at high speeds. This can even be used to do a drift maneuver, where you burst, turn, and drift momentarily, and then burst in a totally different direction, giving you some serious mobility on the battlefield. Weapon systems get a similar treatment. Adding power increases damage output, and then in an overcharged state, they can produce up to a 200% maximum output. Same thing with shields. Adding power increases shield recharge rate, and overcharging them will slowly build up an additional layer of shielding for protection. And shields in particular get an added management system separate from the power system, which allows you to choose if you'd like them balanced across your ship, or if you want them focused in the front or the back. Now, a couple things to keep in mind for both those systems. Overcharged abilities do diminish once power is diverted away from that particular power system, and when adding power to a specific system, you're also diverting power away from the others, reducing their base stats. And obviously with shields, if you don't have them set in a balanced state, wherever you have them allocated to, the front or the back, the opposite side will be exposed to pure damage. On top of all that, you get to choose what ships you want to fly, customize their loadouts however you want, and you get full targeting and squad command systems that allow you to prioritize certain objectives on the battlefield while quickly commanding your squad to address immediate issues. Now, if all that doesn't get your nerdy gamer brain pumping out the dopamine like it does mine, I will say that the game does do a really good job being accessible to players that want a more streamlined experience. For one, you can play on an easier difficulty, but you can also leave your power systems set at balanced, turn all your targeting systems to automatic, and never give a single squad command and just zip around casually killing enemies. Personally, I think you're really missing out on the core gameplay experience Squadrons offers by doing so, but to each their own, and I'm happy the options are there, especially for new players that might be interested in learning how to play at a more advanced skill level, because you can literally change the settings or try messing around with any of the more advanced systems at your own pace. All right, so here's what I think about piloting the ships, y'all. It's badass. For real, I loved being in the cockpit and piloting my favorite Star Wars ships, and even fell in love with some of the new ones. I've never particularly been a fan of the Rebel bombers, for example, but holy shit, those were so fun to pilot, y'all. And the more that I got familiar with managing every ship's systems, the more rewarding the game got. Seriously, I felt like a total badass heading into battle with an overcharged engine, tapping into my boost and quickly drifting around the map, outflying the enemy, and then being effective by multi-managing power and shield systems while directing my squadron's objective priorities as I zipped around space blowing up baddies. Now, there for sure is a learning curve, and it takes some practice to master, but once you get into the swing of things, man, it is some really fulfilling gameplay. A few other things that I want to highlight are, for one, it puts you in some killer battles with levels that are not only really fun to dogfight in, but that also feel like authentic Star Wars scenarios. And secondly, whenever a game like this comes out, I'm always concerned that it's going to suffer from you're constantly spinning in a circle to try and get an enemy on your screen that you can actually blow up. And thankfully, Squadrons does not have this problem. Now, I do have to grind on a few issues that I did have in the game. Firstly, I kept having a bug that would stop my mouse and keyboard or gamepad from working in the game in between missions, and it was pretty bad, y'all. I had to force kill and restart the game to fix it, and it happened a lot during my time in the game. Now, there is a silver lining here, guys. I'm continuing to play the game in VR with my HOTAS, and I am going to go back and play through the campaign in VR. And the good news is a patch just came out today to fix this very issue. So despite the shitty experience that I had through my first playthrough, it's damn good to see that the devs are supporting the game and addressing these issues, and I can't wait to play through it again without this occurring. My only other gripe has to do with the respawn system during the campaign, which will sometimes place you right in the middle or even at the end of a mission with full health if you died. It was just really hand-holdy and felt shitty because it would sometimes load you in after the most difficult or intense part of a mission, which totally squashed the rewarding or intense feelings of surviving until the end. I would have much rather had it kick me all the way back to the beginning of the mission. That way it felt more like an achievement instead of something that I just continuously respawned through. Despite those issues though, when you're actually playing the missions, the gameplay is totally fantastic. Multiplayer has been hella fun too, y'all. There's a 5v5 dogfight and the main mode, which is a multi-stage fleet battle where you squad up against another team to try and destroy their flagship. And these battles can also get played against AI, either in solo or in co-op as well. So setting the bugs and crappy respawns aside, Squadrons gameplay is extremely fun and rewarding, even more so the farther you dabble in learning and executing its more intricate piloting capabilities. I'm giving gameplay 4 out of 5 stars. Graphics are up, and I was really expecting more in this category. It's not horrible looking overall. It does have some gorgeous levels with great lighting, and the design of the ships and space stations are really well done. Where it flopped though is in the effects and texture department. You often get a mismatch of textures that don't mix well together, and my biggest complaint is with how low res explosions look, especially the bigger ones. After you spend 20 minutes whittling an Imperial capital ship down to pieces or darting in and out of a space station to plant a base-destroying bomb, you get rewarded with some really bad-looking explosions and destroyed ships that are extremely low res. So graphics are a mixed bag here, yo. I'm giving them 3 out of 5 stars. Moving on to audio, and you get a classic Star Wars inspired soundtrack here, which was alright. I would have preferred something unique that differentiated itself somehow, but it did do its job without getting in the way. The sound effects, on the other hand, are awesome. The sound of the TIE fighters zipping by, spitting lasers from their LS-1 cannons, or your repair android beeping and zapping your ship as you try to fix your X-Wing in the middle of battle. Ugh. All the little sounds from controlling your ship in general were really damn good and made me feel like I was in the cockpit. I even thought the voice acting was great despite the uninspired writing for most of the characters, which I'll get into next. Overall, they did a kick-ass job here. I'm giving audio 4 out of 5 stars. Story's up next, and Squadrons is straight up a blue-collar Star Wars story. It takes place shortly after Return of the Jedi and bounces you back and forth from mission to mission as either a rebel or Imperial pilot fighter as you play through its campaign. And I actually really enjoyed the story here. It centers around a secret rebel project called Starhawk, and a huge power struggle breaks out once the Empire finds out about it that you get wrapped up in the middle of. It had this Rogue One vibe and didn't lean too heavily on any of the overused lore cliches to drive its story. There were a couple, but they were cool and fun to play, and overall, it was a breath of fresh air that kept its focus on you being part of both naval fleets. Unfortunately, as good as the story was, the characters really held it back in my opinion. There were a couple interesting main characters, but the supporting characters, specifically your squad mates, were just lame. All their lines when talking to him felt like a mix of one-liners smashed together that were all recorded separately and didn't really add to the story. Some of them even had cool backstories, but when you were actually playing through the game with them, I just didn't connect with any of them.
Don't see the appeal in flying myself, but I've been working on TIE since they rolled off the assembly line. Your fight is in good hands. The Overseer saw some action at Pothar and JL, but it's had a complete inspection and overhaul for this mission. Admiral Sloane's orders. And on my orders, every TIE in this hangar has been serviced and test flown. Tighten half the rivets myself. We're ready. Gotta say, I don't know how you and Titan cope out there. No shields or life support, just hold plating between you and space. It must build character. Never met a TIE pilot who backed down from any challenge. Shields or not. I've prepared your starfighter to match the latest Imperial guidelines. If you've got a preferred component or need something customized, I'll take care of it. Just say the word. Your TIE fighter's ready. Good flying.
I wanted to feel a sense of camaraderie with my squad and have there be intense moments that built on that in and out of missions. They weren't all complete shit, but none of them were great. And at the end of the day, I didn't love or love to hate any of them, which was really disappointing. So, great story with some cool cutscenes, totally weighed down by characters that are all fluff and noise. I'm giving story 3 out of 5 stars. Settings are up, and let's start with the control buttons. Now, I tried the game on a gamepad, mouse and keyboard, and HOTAS. And I will tell you right away, the gamepad is complete garbage. It's either gotta be mouse and keyboard, and preferably HOTAS if you have one. The gamepad just felt so sloppy and limited to use. Seriously, there's so many controls in the game that you gotta have a mouse and keyboard or a HOTAS at minimum to really take advantage of controlling your ship and playing the game at a higher skill level. If you only have a gamepad, it'll definitely work, but I highly recommend avoiding it if possible. Beyond that though, I was able to rebind everything on my mouse and keyboard to WASD, ESDF, mouse and numpad without issue, and the same thing goes for the HOTAS as well, so everything was good here. Video and graphics are up next, and both can be found under video. There's tons of great options to tweak here as well. The top has your video settings, and below are graphic options, and I didn't see anything important missing here. Moving on to audio, and this was perfect as well. You get your main dials, master, music, sound effects, and dialogue, and there's plenty of mic options as well, which is great. Last up are gameplay options, and these were perfect too, except one thing. There's this narrate option here, and yo, turn this off immediately if it's on. It literally reads off things you select in the menu, which is just freaking weird. I mean, I'm a super nerdy settings bitch, but if there was ever a way to go overboard with options, this is absolutely it. Everything else is here you need though. You get colorblind modes, subtitle options, and some chat and text options as well. So I'm giving these overachievers 5 out of 5 stars. It is final score time. And although Squadrons doesn't wow in every category, and even struggled with some bugs for me in between missions that were hella annoying, its core space combat gameplay and casual sim approach are straight up badass. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Not only is piloting the ships alone just immersive as hell, but the dogfighting, commanding your squad in story mode, or working cooperatively with your squad in multiplayer is just some of the best space combat gaming that I've experienced in a long ass time. It's a must buy in my opinion if you're a fan of the genre, and if you've never played a game like this before, I encourage you to check it out. It's a cheaper game and totally accessible enough to not be too overwhelming for newcomers. For real, we need more games like this, yo. 20 years is just too damn long to wait, okay? Thankfully, Squadrons delivers here, y'all, and although the developers have said there's currently no DLC in the works, I do hope to see more content and games from them like this in the future. All right, that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me today. You could have been anywhere on YouTube, but you kicked it here with me, and I appreciate it so much. Please, if you enjoy my content, I could really use your support on Patreon, even if it's for only $1 a month. Yo, every dollar helps me out so much, and I could really use the support. There's gonna be a link that pops up right here in just a second. Go check that out if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, don't forget, subscribe below, hit that like button, and leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you on the next Gurm's Garage. GG.